Thus Virkasura went to the holy place of Kedarnath and began worshipping Lord Shiva by offering pieces of his own flesh as oblations into the fire. But Shiva did not appear. So Vrika decided to commit suicide by cutting off his head. Just as at the critical moment, Lord Shiva appeared from the sacrificial fire and stopped him, offering the demon whatever boon he chose. Vrika said, "May death come to whomever I touch upon the head with my hand." Lord Shiva was obliged to fulfill this request, and at once the wicked Vrika tried to test the benediction by putting his hand on the Lord's head. Terrified, Shiva fled for his life, running as far as heaven and the outer limits of the mortal world. Finally, the Lord reached the planet of Shweta where Lord Vishnu resides. Seeing the desperate Shiva from afar, the Lord disguised himself as a young student, a brahmachari, and went before Vrikasura. And he addressed the demon. "My dear Vrika, please rest a while and tell us what you intend to do." Vrika was charmed by the Lord's words and revealed everything that had happened. The Lord said, "Ever since Lord Shiva was cursed by Prajapati Daksha, he has become just like a carnivorous hobgoblin. You shouldn't trust his word. Better just to test the benediction by putting your hand on your own head." Bewildered by these words, the foolish demon touched his own head, which immediately shattered and fell to the ground. Cries of victory, obeisances, and well done were heard from the sky. And the demigods, sages, celestial fathers, and Gandharvas all congratulated the Supreme Lord by raining flowers down upon him. Hare Krishna. So we begin with verse 1. Shri Raja Uvacha Devasur Manusheshu Ye Bhajanti Ashivam Shivam Prayaste Dhanino Bhoja Natu Lakshmya Patim Hare. King Parikshit said, "Those demigods, demons, and humans who worship Lord Shiva, a strict renunciate, usually enjoy wealth and sense gratification, while the worshippers of the Supreme Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, do not." Husband of goddess of fortune. They don't, doesn't seem like they're getting that fortune. Etat veditum ichama sandehotra mahina hina viruda shilayo prabhor viruda bhajatam gatihi. We wish to properly understand this matter, which greatly puzzles us. Indeed, the results attained by the worshippers of the two lords of opposite characters are contrary to what one would expect. Purport. The preceding chapter ended with the recommendation that one should always meditate on Lord Hari, the bestower of liberation. In this regard, Maharaj Parikshit here expresses a common fear among ordinary people that by becoming a devotee of Lord Vishnu, one will lose his wealth and social status. For the benefit of such people of little faith, King Parikshit requests Shukadeva Goswami to explain an apparent paradox. Lord Shiva, who lives like a beggar, without even a house to call his own, makes his devotees rich and powerful. While Lord Vishnu, the omnipotent possessor of all that exists, often reduces his servants to abject poverty. Shukadeva Goswami will respond with reasoned explanations and an ancient account concerning the demon Vrika. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Katachana Smate Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismite Viparitam Shat Shri Chaitanya Namamitam. So when Srila Prabhupada was born, wonderful benediction and prediction was given that he would be one of the wealthiest persons of India. And when Srila Prabhupada was a young man, with this knowledge, he decided, okay, well, I want to serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And I was established a wonderful business that will help fund the preaching activities of the disciples of my spiritual master, His Holiness, Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. However, we see that Krishna had different plans, and that his business failed. It was successful for some time, but over time the whole business began to fail, and he took great solace in this verse that's going to come up, very famous verse that to when I especially favor my devotees, I gradually take away all their wealth. This is my special favor to those who are very, very dear to me. And we find that this special favor, it's given in you find in the verse Srila Jiva Goswami, he describes that this is the future tense is given. It says it's gradual, and he gradually takes away wealth, but he very quickly responds with his mercy. That's the next verse that follows that. It's more of a present tense, where this is like a future tense, meaning it's just gradually is taking wealth. But we find in circumstances that for all devotees, there are circumstances that once wealth and opulences sometimes come and go, and we feel that actually this is Krishna's mercy. And so for myself, in 1999, I was going to the Portland Temple. There was Mother Mahabhagavata was there, and her husband Kshetragya, who was both Prabhupada disciples. He used to be in Calcutta, one of the original devotees in the Calcutta temple, and as the pujari there. And then there was the invasion that happened in Mayapur, and he was there also. And basically, the government took everyone who was both the attackers. There was an invasion. People attacked the Mayapur temple. This is right before they had the Nrsingadev deity installed. And they heard that the deity of Radharani was made out of gold, and they stole Radharani. And so this invasion happened, and so the police basically took those who fought against the invaders and just took them all and put them all in jail. And I remember Mother Mahabhagavata said she used to go to the window of the jail to make sure that her husband could get something to eat. Offer food through the window, throw some food packets in. And so he left India, but this is years later, and they had a nice preaching center in Portland, Oregon. And I used to go there. I would ride my motorcycle. After a night shift there's a place called the Plaid Pantry. It's kind of like 7-Eleven. So I used to work at 7-Eleven, a night shift when I was like 18. And I would ride my motorcycle to the temple and go to I'd miss Mangalarti because I'd get off like at 5 or so. And I'd go there and I'd chant some japa and do some service and then go home, go to bed, and then do the next day like that. And I would go every day, and then I would go do some services during the week, and then Sunday feasts and such. And I liked going, but there was absolutely nobody my age there. There was one person you could say is close to my age, but absolutely not. That's Acharya Nishta. Some of you might know Acharya Nishta, who does Pujari service at the ISKCON Brooklyn Temple. He was 12 years old. He was leading all the kirtans there. It was this adorable 12-year-old who would uh, lead the Sunday program. And then there's myself, I'm 18, and there's all these 40-year-olds with their kids, 40, 50, etc. And the Prabhupada disciples are almost in their 70s. And so although I liked going, there was definitely no peer association, and there wasn't a really idea of like, okay, where do I take what do I do other than coming uh, at 5 a.m. after my night shift? How else can I absorb myself? And so Mother Mahabhagavat came to me one day and she said, "Oh, there's going to be some changes around here, and you're going to like it." And so what she said is that 30 monks and 5 monkettes are coming to the Portland Temple, and they're going to start a new center. And these are the brahmacharis and brahmacharinis of the both Seattle center, not the Seattle old temple, but there was a center in the city, and Eugene, Oregon. They're going to merge into Portland and open a whole new center here. Uh, and so all those young guys came, and the kirtans were absolutely insane. I remember Janmashtami kirtan was so wild and powerful that the wooden deck that was attached to the second floor of the house separated from the house because the house was shaking from all the wild kirtan. And so the deck almost fell over off of the house of our rented house. We rented I think it was like a 7-bedroom house on the very top of the hill with, and what you had is a beautiful view of Mount Hood. So the temple room was basically the 3 sides were all just glass windows, and you had a beautiful view of the snow-capped mountain. So it was totally ecstatic, and I really wanted to do what these monks were doing. I wanted, before there was nobody my age, but now there's a whole bunch of people my age, and they're fully absorbed, and it's wonderful, and it's fun, and it's ecstatic and enlivening. But it's just like if somebody says, "Oh, I want to retire." Say somebody is doing some service, managing, or someone has a business they're managing. They say, "I want to retire," but what happens? It's like, well, after this, well, after that, after this. That's how there's always some obstacle that comes. And so I wanted to join this ashram, but there were 3 things that were kind of holding me back. I had my new motorcycle, Honda CB 900 Honda. I had my new motorcycle, 1980 CB 900. I had not my apartment. I had a house I rented. I found this great deal. It was a 4-bedroom house for $600 rent, because the dining room floor was unfinished. It just had some baseboard on it. Had an unfinished dining room floor. So the rent was only $600, and this is split between 3 other vegetarian roommates. So it's $150 rent each for a 4-bedroom house with a basement and attic, and we had a whole grocery system where everybody only spent $40 a month on groceries. We had a whole system in place. So I had the motorcycle, the house, and I had the girlfriend. These are the 3 things. But what does Krishna says? If I favor my devotee, I take away these things. Krishna likes you, gives you everything. He loves you, takes it all away. And so I crashed the new motorcycle. The roommates weren't paying the bills. All the bills are in my name. And they're kind of slacking on paying these bills. So I was also, as Krishna says, I'm gradually frustrate him and frustrate his endeavors. And then I went to a kirtan at Govardhan's house. I don't know, many of you might have heard of Ben and Esther's Vegan Jewish Deli in Portland, and they have another location in San Diego. This is a chain of devotee vegan Jewish delis. And I'm praying that they get one here in New York City. Because it's got to be in New York, of all places. Um, so I went to a kirtan at his house. And after the kirtan, my girlfriend says, I want to go to a party. I was like, why do we want to go to a party? We went to this nice kirtan. She's like, oh, I want to go to this party. So I went to the party. She got drunk. She started kissing a girl. And I said, Haribo, see you later. And called up the ashram and said, yes, I'm ready to, I want to be a monk. A few weeks later, she said, I want to do that too. So I gave her a ticket for another temple hundreds of miles away. So here, you can go to Tucson, Arizona. She went there for some time. So Krishna, he does this. So we become nirvana. We gradually become detached and not having faith that these material situation is going to satisfy us, and we actually become gradually and gradually more convinced of the protection and care of Krishna himself. So this question is brought up. Well, why do the devotees of Shiva, they seem like Shiva lives under a tree, in a mountain, in a forest, and Krishna, he lives in Vaikuntha. He's living in these wonderful palaces. It's described in the Padma Purana that these skyscrapers, the palaces in Vaikuntha, are over 100 stories. It's not just New York City that has these tall, beautiful structures. And Vaikuntha, way more beautiful, way more. So he's over 100-story palace. And so Krishna's devotees, in general, this is the mood of those ordinary people. They think, okay, well, in general, and of course, the person who's asking the question is the king of the planet, so he doesn't seem to be so poor. But one thing you see here is that Parikshit Maharaj is just asking actually a very challenging question. Some of you might not feel comfortable to ask such a question, but we see Parikshit Maharaj is asking challenging questions, but he does it with great humility. This is one of the elements to take note of, that we should eradicate the demons of doubt by approaching the devotees with great humility and asking our questions. So it seems like a apparent paradox. And so the answer that starts to unfold is Shiva's relationship with this material energy. So they describe there's 16 elements. Actually, there's just a general 16, but there's quite more. So you have the Dravya Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Jnana Shakti. And so Shiva represents the ahankar, the false ego. And if you study Sankhya, how the kind of the process of elements and transformation and creation, it says when the ahankar, the false ego, mixed with the Dravya Shakti, when the false ego mixes with the mode of ignorance, it creates the physical things, the elements, and the objects of the senses. So that's the 5 elements and the 5 objects of perception. So that's 10 right there. But the 5 are mentioned in this verse of the 5 out of 16. So that's motive, the false ego mixed with what? What guna?
Tamas, Prabhu.
Tamagun.
Tamagun, yes. So the 5 elements mixed with motive ignorance makes the physical elements, the 5, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. No, for earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the five gross elements. And it also makes the objects of perception, sight, touch, smell, taste, etc. Then you have the false ego mixed with the mode of passion, and this creates the subtle senses. Now, oftentimes when we hear the senses, we think the eyes, but actually the senses are part of this. They're subtle. Like when you leave your body, you take your senses with you. You take your subtle senses with you. Just like even when you dream, sometimes you leave your body in your dream, but you can still hear, smell, taste. You can see things in a dream. These are subtle senses. So that's the so false ego mixed with the motive passion that creates the 10 senses. So this is the five senses of perception. And then you have the five organs of action also. Those are also created when the false ego mixes with the motive passion. And then the last one is false ego mixed with the motive goodness that creates the mind, that creates the demigods that control the 10 senses, the five, the organs of action and the organs of perception. So the false ego mixed with the motive goodness is creating the demigods that deal with the senses. The false ego mixed with the motive passion deals with the senses, and the false ego mixed with the motive ignorance deals with the ingredients itself. So you have the what is that? Karya, or the dravya, the ingredients. You have the karana, the cause, and then you have the intelligence that guides the whole thing, the karta, the doers, the mind, the demigods, etc. And so Lord Shiva, he is that false ego. He is that that he represents the false ego. He is the Lord of the false ego. And so when the living entity is worshiping Lord Shiva, they're worshiping a personality that has a touch, has a connection to this material energy. And therefore, they also become connected to material energy. And they become attracted to the results of being connected to material energy. Actually, the question was brought up in, here, let's see, these verses. And I think it's Jiva Goswami's commentary on the verse. One second. Or maybe it's Vishnu Chakrabarti Thakur. Let's see. He says, here's some questions he brings up. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, it's another Goswami. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. So he brings up some questions. So he says, if the devotee is so compassionate, if the Lord's so compassionate, why does he expose them to suffering? And he says, it's just like a parent. If the parent's so loving, why does he make the children suffer by forcing them to go to school when they could just play all day? He says, no, because he understands there's certain things that are for their growth, that's good for them. So he's mercifully strict with them. He does things that actually are for their personal growth. Then he brings up another question. He says, well, what distinguishes the happiness and distress from that caused by your own karma? And that brought the happiness and distress that's brought about by the Lord himself. And he says, well, if you experience happiness and distress by your own karma, then it leaves a residue. It leaves a contamination, a karma beach. It means you want to, and again, engage in this world. But the Lord, when you experience some pleasure or suffering, that doesn't actually lead to any type of degradation. When you experience some type of material opulence or material suffering in relation to that's supplied by the Lord, it actually gives you liberation. You feel, if you receive some pleasure, you feel, wow, the Lord is protecting me so nicely. Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paripashate. Tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshamam vaham yaham. He's protecting me. He's caring for me so nicely. And if you've experienced such some suffering, you think, oh, he's so kind. He's cutting out this obstacle that has been holding me back. So here's another one. And this is by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He says, because the devotees are objects of the Lord's affection, their suffering is never extreme. How can one consider the suffering arising from karma and that of the Lord be equal? One is like the pain of being beaten by an enemy, receiving a beating by an enemy. The other one's like, punished by your mother. One is poison and one is nectar. And another example, he says, like, say you have some disease in your eye and you're suffering from this. And then they give you some anjana, some ointment. Like we know this verse from Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Only the ointment of love can allow you to see Krishna. So they give you this anjana, now your eye is sore and itchy, it's suffering. And they give you this medicine, and the medicine burns, but it immediately relieves the itching. They have some ointment, it's burning, but it's immediately healing the problem. And in addition, suffering protects the confidentiality of devotional service. So it protects, it is a little bit of a gatekeeper to keep the insincere away from pure devotional service. So it protects disruption from the beliefs of various categories of outsiders. And it also increases the eagerness with the devotees call upon the Lord. And so he says, just like sunrise is not attractive, these things wouldn't be attractive if there was constant happiness all the time. Why would we scream, please, the Lord, appear? Nrsingadev, come. Or Ramachandra, Krishna, please come. And so he concludes that sunrise appears attractive because of the darkness of the night. The hot summer, the cold water gives comfort. And the freezing winter, the warm water gives comfort. The lamp night appears attractive in the darkness, not in the glaring light of day. And when one is distressed by hunger, food tastes especially good. He says, I think I don't. He says, I don't think I need to elaborate anymore. That actually, these contrasts of the suffering in this world and the creates a type of sweet relishing and hankering of the Lord's appearance. So Shiva, he's a special incarnation. He has his own category. This word tattva. Tat is where you get the English word that, and va means ness. So thatness means something you can identify. Like if I say, okay, that is a book. This is a murti. It's something you can identify. And so they describe that there are two basic tattvas. There's Vishnu tattva. There's the of existence. There's the Lord Himself, and then the jiva. But there's one being that's categorically doesn't fit in either. He has his own particular category, and that's Lord Shiva. And the Brahma Samhita very nicely describes Tadati Vishesha Yogat. What is it? What's the first word? Remember? Shiram. Shiram? Anybody know the first word? This verse from Brahma Samhita. It's got the word yogat. And Krishna, the Brahma is saying that the Lord Shiva is like yogurt. The word yogat does not mean yogurt, though. That's something else. That's not the part. Shiram dadati vishesha yogat sanjayate vivitehetu samana dharma yastagdag eva vishnutaya bhavati govindam adi purjam tamaham bhajami. And so there's something called heritage yogurt. So heritage yogurt is you take tamarind and you soak milk in tamarind, and then overnight the actual milk becomes cultured It has a culturing agent there. And that culture turns the entire milk into yogurt. And so Shiva is like the Lord, but like the Lord who is touched by matter. Krishna is the milk, and Shiva is the yogurt. So when you have yogurt, that means it has been touched, it has been affected by something. It has been, and so Krishna, his interaction with material energy is like, he is like oil and water. He has completely transcendental. Therefore, if you worship Krishna, you also become transcendental and you receive great transcendental wealth. But if you approach Shiva in the Shraddha, or the mindset which people approach Shiva, is transactional, as the mindset of all the Deva worship is generally transactional. I want something. Then what is the transaction? Material wealth, because he has this touch of material energy. Is so this form of a Lord, Sadashiva, is the form where the Lord is slightly touched by matter, whereas the Lord himself is never touched by matter. Is like oil and water, whereas this form is slightly touched. So he's his own category. Let me see if there's some reflections, questions, or comments. You have Jiny Tai. Might share something.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I wasn't going to share. I was just coming up to the camera to see if Adi Purush wanted to share. But since you said my name and left some space, just wanted to thank you for a nice class, sharing your personal realizations and also going deep, sharing the different mixtures of the modes and the effect that they have. And also, what was this last, the pastimes in Portland. Also, you were sharing some of those ecstatic things. It'd be good to hear a little bit more about what it was like when all the brahmacharis and the monks and monksette showed up and how that worked out.
I can tell you one thing. We had a very open door policy. We had one brahmachari who, he was like a crazy fellow. And this is kind of how Prabhupada is crazy. And then he joined the temple and he became a totally sane person. And so we thought it would work for everybody. We really had a very open door policy and we had lots of people that would spend the night. And sometimes, these kids had a little mental issues. So we had one guy, he was 18, and he unfortunately he did some acid and did some drugs and it messed up his brain. So prior to that, he was just a healthy young guy. And so he was attracted to the temple, and we let him spend the night. And then he started saying that the temple's van was his, and that he was going to call the police. And we said, okay, call the police. Yeah. And so the police came all the way over to our temple on the top of the hill, and and he spoke to the police and he said they stole my van. And they said, well, do you have proof that this is your van? He said, yeah. Uh, Krishna gave it to me. and all the devotees were cracking up. And then the police officer said, "Who's Krishna?" And then all the devotees are laughing like that, just on the floor laughing. It's the police officer, well, Krishna's gone. He said, "All right, kid, get out of here." And the police took him away and took him away from the temple. So, first canto, second chapter. There's a lot about this subject. Sattvam rajastama iti prakatir gunaster. That basically it described that you have wood, you have smoke, and you have fire. And so, if you're cooking, or say you're performing a yajna, fire is the most what you want. you can't. Smoke is almost there, and the potentiality of fire within wood is not as helpful as actually having fire. And so Krishna, the form of the Lord Vishnu or Krishna, he's like fire. He is the thing that produces that transcendental result. Shiva, he's more like smoke. It's almost there. And Brahma is like wood. It's like fire, but it's just the potentiality is there. It's not the whole thing. So if you want to have fire, or if you want to have a yajna, you need the fire. The wood is not enough. Smoke's enough. You want all the way to the point where it's a pure fire. And so Krishna is this pure transcendence. And when you engage with pure transcendence, you also become transcendental or spiritualized. When you engage with smoke, then you become smoky. Your eyes start burning. Your eyes start watering. You become affected by that.
Thank you. Great analogies. Very simple. Very easy to understand when an analogy is offered. And my reflection is that Srimad Bhagavatam is not just a book meant to be read, it's meant to be lived. Like Nityananda Chandra Prabhu described, what he was going through life was coming straight from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna was taking away, moving around certain things, certain ingredients in our soup, but we should always be eager to see what's in his other hand, the given hand. He's closing one door, but let's see what door is being opened. Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Wonderful class. It had Shastra, it had personal testimony. Thank you. It was very captivating. Thank you. Adipusha Prabhu. On behalf of the temple room, please speak.
Relative. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we heard superlative.
An echo. Yeah, there's an experience of Krishna consciousness, just like you can read the menu in the restaurant or you can have dinner. So we may understand a lot of things philosophically, but Krishna's there and the relationship is there and the love is there. And as we surrender to Krishna, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana, that a person who has full faith in Guru and is engaged in the service, devotional service, we develop all the good qualities and we actually experience the, what is it, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana. There's the relationship, there's the process, and there's the experience of Krishna. So let's go. Well, glory to Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
I found the verse you were looking for.
Ram-
Shiram yata dadari vikara vishesha yoga.
Yogat.
Yeah, yoga. Yoga means by the application. It's Brahma Samhita 545.
Thank you. So they have these verses in, starting with text number 23 of the first canto, chapter 2, to about text number 29. It's a nice verses about. So prior to that, you have this glorification of devotional service. And then one may ask, well, devotional service to whom? Who should I devote myself to? We have these primal deities. These are like gods of the gods, Brahma and Shiva. Why specifically Vishnu? And so there's very nice verses there. Maybe cover them after. Satvam rajastama iti prakate gunaster yukta parapurusha eka hasya dhate Sityadai harivirinchi hreti samya shreyamsi tattvat kalur sattvatanam pranam shu. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is indirectly connected to the three modes of material nature. And then he takes three forms to deal with the three modes of material nature. But because sattva is best, the Lord of sattva is the best Lord to approach. And then he gives this example of the firewood is firewood is better than smoke is better than firewood, and better than smoke is fire itself. So sattva is the best because one can realize the absolute truth through sattva.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's darshan time. Turn on your cameras if you can, if you haven't already. And if you can, please.
An emotional service. I bow down to mercy of great all holiness. Highest graceful and prosperous. and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mind. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, and by him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of the lotus feet, and spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter in the Srila Prabhupada. Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to the Afterglow, dear devotees. Okay, Ram wants to see you. So I'm going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam. That's my question to Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. I'm going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam 7:15-21, purport by Srila Prabhupada. For spiritual advancement, one should be materially satisfied. For if one is not materially satisfied, his greed for material development will result in the frustration of his spiritual advancement. There are two things that nullify all good qualities. One is poverty, darida dosho guna rashi nashi. If one is poverty stricken, all his good qualities become null and void. Similarly, so that's the question, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. If poverty nullifies our good qualities, how is it a benediction from Krishna when he takes things away from us, materially speaking?
Mm. Yeah, so in the purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that Krishna does it gradually so that that doesn't happen. Because if he were to take away everything immediately, then we would have no shelter. We wouldn't 100% give ourselves to Krishna, and therefore we would become insanely greedy for material shelter. And so he says gradually, and as you see, everyone has to go through this gradually. At the time of death, everything is taken away. No wealth, no. Some people don't have their family there. They're all only left with just Krishna. This sannyas is required for everyone, which means we're all going to die, and when we die, everything is taken away. So that's sannyas. It's not like a orange cloth stick ceremony. It's something that we all go through. That everything is taken away from us. But Krishna, it says here gradually. Let me see if I can pull up the commentary. Um,
Vaisheshika Prabhu
yeah,
says, while you're looking for the purport,
yeah,
Vaisheshika Prabhu says, everything will be taken away from us anyway. So therefore, we should be preemptively given, give it to Krishna before it's taken from you by Maya.
yeah. So this is one purport. This is Sanat Goswami. He says the future tense is used to indicate the Lord will take away wealth necessarily or certainly. That is the import of Krishishe in the next verse also. This is not the part. I'm looking for the one where he talks about the gradually.
Well, maybe we can have Krishna Kumari speak while you're looking for that
Oh, here.
particular.
If I take it away suddenly, he'll become disturbed with nothing for protection. Thus, I take it away gradually, so he'll become indifferent to wealth gradually and become attracted to the devotee's association. Then what happens? Gradually, his relatives reject him since he has no wealth. Then even becomes more poverty-stricken. So she's showing how he can encourage someone to get deeper in their spiritual life. Um, And he says, yeah, I do this. It's a gradual thing. Indifferent is not, this is nirvana. It's not, or nirvana. It means that there's actually a type of liberation. Nirvana means disgust, when it becomes completely disgusted with material association. And the nirvana, this actual transcendence, is superior to then just disgust. Disgust doesn't necessarily produce Krishna bhakti.
Yeah. Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Hi, Krishna Kumari.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for class. So yesterday I was dressing our deities here, and I listened to this chapter in Krishna book for this chapter in Bhagavatam. And I did keep hearing what you were saying, but then Prabhupada, and I don't remember exactly because I was quite immersed, but then Prabhupada said that actually Krishna will give you great facility to use for him as well. And I also just want to mention that, like, when I was studying this career dharma, I realized more and more how individual each of us is. So we each have a different we each have a different idea of what prosperity is for us and how we will actually be personally satisfied. So I think what Ananda Bihari was saying here is like really speaks to me, that like to really give ourselves to Krishna, we can't be, I mean, it's, sometimes we're desperate, but we also have to be knowing and feel like Krishna's taking care of us. So my children, they always knew that like everything was Krishna's in their playroom. Kids would come over. I never did this whole share thing. It was just like, oh, it's all Krishna's, not yours. So it's this idea that where we have our cows, it's Krishna's land. I don't have any land. It's some millionaire's land they're grazing on. If we really can see not just ours is Krishna's, but everything is Krishna's, and not limit how we move through the world, knowing that Krishna actually is taking care of us. I mean, he's taking care of us nonstop. Whether we're stressing that we're going to lose our job, or how are we going to retire or be well, but Krishna's. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you,
Jai
thank you,
Ram.
thank you. And for myself, Krishna took away my motorcycle, and then he gave me a luxury car later after that. So
Yeah, he's not just taking, he's also given
oh,
what's necessary for us to be engaged in service. Thank you. Bhima Prabhu. Bhima has a luxury tractor that was given to him by Krishna.
oh.
But what was taken, Bhima? What was taken away? I'm curious.
Well, yesterday, our dog, Krishna Das, his name on his certificate was Radharani's Snow White Krishna Das, because he was had snow white curly hair, and he lived 15 years, and he used to accompany me when I lived in the next town over, around, I would say, what was it, a 4-mile walk around a lake every morning. We would get up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. I can't. And he would be by my side when I chanted my rounds around the lake. It took 2.5 hours, and I got the majority of my rounds done. I chanted. And so I never had to break chanting, because when Krishna would go into somebody's yard and I needed to call him back, I would just yell Krishna. So we had to put him down yesterday.
Right.
And, you see that there's a season for everything. And with every passing of that which we hold dear, which is wealth, we can have the wealth of a loving wife. We can have the love of a loyal dog. Dogs tend to get deeper under your skin than relatives because they're there with you 24/7. He used to ride shotgun. Now Ram rides shotgun every season for a dog. Then Ram, eventually, he's now my shotgun. But Krishna was during times of great sadhana. Krishna was like the guy that kept me company when I would go on long walks. I was very strict about my rounds back then. It was first thing, only thing, but I had my buddy with me. And when he passed, when he went under, I thanked him for keeping me company. For keeping me company all those years when I was chanting. So he must have heard a lot of rounds. Sometime I told my son and wife, we were like, where do dogs go? Is it just that they advance, they become devotees or something like that? And I said, actually, good devotees become the dogs of devotees, and then they go on to be angels. So they're actually one step above humans, I think, especially at least the dogs of devotees. I always viewed, because it's even Ram, as rascally as he is an innocent. He can't commit an offense. Even him running away, when I say, don't you dare run away, when he runs, that's not an offense, because it's just, and then you learn from dogs what the master holds dear. And it's not just obedience and stuff, because Ram hardly ever obeys unless it's for his own, purpose. Because you just have the love. What it is that they're a faith. They have faith in their master, that their master will always be there for them. And then because of that faith, they give loyalty. That means they're willing to literally die for you. They'll step in the way of anything. You give a dog half a chance once you accept them. So we find that this whole so-called, and by the way, Prabhu, wonderful class. What's great about your classes is that they're so well backed up by the foundation of Shastra. When you speak, there's not much room for doubt. And then, of course, that when you don't have doubt, you have faith, and when you have faith, you just start to see, as Krishna Kumari just said, you just have faith that Krishna's going to take care of you, and Krishna's going to take care of this. And what was lovely about this is that I didn't cry at the time of Krishna's passing. Just now, remembering. But when he passed, because he was so old and he was suffering from so many different ailments, it was just a great feeling to know that his soul was going to go. With his soul, when he left his body, I had my hands on his heart. I felt his heart stop. And it was like a breeze blew past me. And, that maybe he, went right back to Godhead. But I did lean forward, and I told him, I thanked him for all those hours. And then I said, I'll see you in the next life. I told him to wait for me. I get so many animals that I've whispered. Cairo, a big horse, I whispered in his ear just before he went down. I'll see you in the next life. They were loyal, and they taught the lesson of loyalty, fidelity. That is the most important thing we can have with the devotees and with Krishna. Just be loyal, just be sincere. Thank you very much, Babu, for a wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Bhima Prabhu, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm not going to say anything. That was beautiful. Very inspiring, Bhima Prabhu. Bhima Prabhu, please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to complete the yagya for today. Chant like you've chanted for Snow White Krishna.
Ah, man, that's going to be tough.
I have a little story to share.
Please.
In 2002, my wife, we got married in 2002. She didn't know how to cook anything, but she started cooking. My mom told her, said, if you can read, you can cook. All these cookbooks. And so she was making something, and then there was an oil fire, and then she poured a bunch of water on it, and this big fireball just came out and went across the ceiling, and she, it just went, and then it went away, and then she ran out of the house and my youngest daughter, Devaki, said, "Hey, Mom, do you remember? I remember when you were cooking and this fireball was there, and the whole thing went across the ceiling." And she was like, "Yeah, that happened, but that was 10 years before you were born. What are you talking about? She's it said the only person that was there was our two wiener dogs. Are you one of our wiener dogs? Like, how do you remember that? What do you mean you remember you were cooking the fireball and it went like this?" And she's like, "Yeah, that did happen, but you weren't there. That was 10 years before." So are you our wiener dog Frankie or Beans? So that was just about 5 days ago. She told us that, and we're like, "Yeah, that happened, but you weren't there. There's some other way. I don't know."
We never know.
So you're devolving because you went from a dog to your current status. So you're actually going backwards.
Bhima Prabhu, please chant for Snow White Krishna.
All
We're
right,
all going
that
to
was
chant
good.
for Snow White
Thank
Krishna.
you, Nityananda Chandra, for comic relief that allowed me to gather my senses and get in the now moment. I think because yesterday I wouldn't allow myself to feel it in front of other people, and then of course right now in front of everybody. I'm sorry about that. It's a personal thing with a dog, with a best friend like that who's always by your side. It really hits hard when you wake up in the morning and he's not there. But for Krishna and for all our best friends that we've ever lost, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. God bless you all.
Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. We love you. We need you. I heard Radhanath Swami Maharaj's voice in Bhima Prabhu's mantra. I clearly could hear that. Radhanath Swami's potency and love. Thank you, Bhima Prabhu, for channeling that.
I have one request. Everyone, please say Hare Krishna for my daughter Devaki and my wife Krishnamanga. It's their birthday today. Both of them. The wiener dog and my wife. So
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And Nityananda Chandra Prabhu celebrated his birthday recently. Let's all bless him for many, many lifetimes of giving wonderful classes and sharing wonderful stories and live in Srimad Bhagavatam. Not just reading, living like he's already doing. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.